Hi there, we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to actually put on my wrestling hat and we're going to talk a little bit about wrestling in the cult of cinema because, after all, it is cinematic. This is better because we can just do a little bit of Jedi wisdom. Who knows? Anyway, in the I'm watching wrestling for quite a while now, and back from the WWF days to WWE, WCW, AEW, TNA, ECW, NJPW, and a lot of companies in between. But the company that's been most exciting me in recent years, let's put this hat back on, is it's my Bray Wyatt hat, I guess, is AEW. I've liked a lot of what they've been doing. And for those that are not aware or haven't picked up on it, if you're a wrestling fan, you probably are aware of this. But my channel is called The Cult of Cinema, and he's called cinema, called comics. That comes from a place. That comes from actually a wrestling place. That comes from the wrestling fan, the carny in me, and because one of my favorite wrestlers is CM Punk, and for the more modern day kind of newer type wrestlers. And for those that don't know, for those that aren't into wrestling or are yet watching this anyway, thank you so much. Much appreciated it. The CM Punk Cult of Personality, it was his song. So the Cult of Personality song, that was his theme song. And when I was trying to think of a name for my channel, cinema and just the Cult of Cinema came to mind, and it kind of was just, it went together. Anyway, recently, CM Punk has been off from AEW, and it is rumored that he is gone from the company for good. Basically, what happened was after a media scrum. Basically, what media scrum is after a wrestling event. AEW tends to have some of the wrestlers come out and talk, and basically sometimes talk in kayfabe for those that watch wrestling, basically, and sometimes just say what's on their mind. CM Punk's the guy that always says what's on his mind. He was upset with some wrestlers backstage, and he thought that these should be doing better because they were known as kind of VPs of the company, and he thought that a lot of the backstage talent didn't really appreciate or respect the kind of the knowledge and the information that he was dropping, basically trying to help people out. And for a lot of people, when they heard that, they thought of that as well. CM Punk's full of himself, he's sour grapes, that type of thing. And my better half's one of those people. She's a big fan of like those people that he doesn't like. But now we come to William Regal, one of the great minds in the world of wrestling. And William Regal has now left AEW and he's going back to WWE. Now, a big portion of that is because William Regal and Triple H were very close. They worked together, and he likes working basically on. He doesn't exactly want to be. William Regal was a great wrestler. He doesn't want to be like in front of the camera. He's good at cultivating talent, getting new storylines going, basically making new stars. William Regal is really good at that. That's why he worked in WWE's NXT, because WWE's broken up into NXT and Raw and SmackDown. That's their three big, I guess, divisions, we'll call it. As you know, it's three different like TV shows, but NXT really is there to bring up new talent. But for the longest time, NXT was the best show that WWE had going on. So the Raw show, which was supposed to be their A show, was like C or D listed. SmackDown could be like a B every once in a while, but NXT was an A show. They put on A-level pay-per-views, and a lot of reason behind that was that they had Triple H and they had William Regal behind the scenes working on that. And everybody wanted to come out every time that William Regal introduced War Games. So that was the thing. But God's horrible representation of that, trust me. Just Google Regal saying War Games. It's way, way better. But AEW came around. Triple H was pretty much taken out of wrestling altogether. He got, there was he got injury, he got taken out, he got sidelined. Then he was kind of let go, and Vince McMahon's kind of yes men were the ones that were doing WWE at the time. That meant pretty much everything sucked in WWE. Triple H and Regal were really kind of close together on making NXT like a kind of a big indie company of kind of almost its own thing that they could work with, that they could springboard people off of. And the sad part was that people would want to go back to NXT because the so-called like going up to Raw or SmackDown at the time meant working with the Vince McMahon and his guys, and that usually meant ruining your character, having your character completely changed, and eventually just going into the lower tier unless you're really really lucky. Anyway, Vince McMahon got caught up in a scandal and was forced to leave the company, which brought back Triple H. Triple H brought back some people that had been fired from the company. One of those people was William Regal. William Regal was a key person and thought he was going to be a lifer for WWE until he got let go. Now that Triple H is back, that's changing. But that's only one of the reasons that he was leaving AEW, because this year he signed a 3-year contract, a supposedly 3-year contract with AEW. And remember what I said before with CM Punk, where CM Punk said he didn't feel like he was appreciated backstage for any information, any kind of knowledge, any type of like kind of a locker room leadership that he tried to do there to help people out. Well, same thing with William Regal. So it's not a one-off. This saddens me because I really want AEW to do well. Wrestling works better when there's two companies, at least two companies that are really kind of like competing with one another. WCW, WWE days. That was, that's when wrestling was at its peak, when people were doing really well. And as for the wrestling, like you can go back and watch some of their Attitude Era. Some of the storylines were good. The wrestling not always the greatest, but WCW did tend to have like a really really good wrestling, especially in the opening and mid tier. Not usually so much in the main event. That's when you got a lot of Hogan and a lot of older guys just didn't do that much. So there we go. My thoughts on this is basically they really have to smarten up. I really like Kenny Omega. I think he's a fantastic wrestler. I really think the Young Bucks do extremely well. But some of the stuff that they've done recently, they do their Being the Elite program. They have it on YouTube, and basically there was a chant at one place, basically F CM Punk, and they took out the music so that would highlight the FCM Punk part of the chant during one of their YouTube shows, which is perfectly well and up to them, but it just shows, unfortunately, that they are fantastic wrestlers that are in love with their own gimmick, and that has to give, because it's a company, and Tony Khan, who runs it, basically he's the money guy, he runs the company, he books everything, has to get to the point where it's like, I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, but if we're bringing in these guys with knowledge and experience that can help grow the company, then the high school antics are okay for in the ring, but it's not okay for backstage. It's not something that you need for backstage. It's not something that helps at the company. It makes the company look a bit juvenile. And they're putting on great wrestling. They got some great wrestlers there, but there's something to be said for learning from the past. So I'm not talking about like going Jim Cornette, where things seem just smidge out of touch. Though I do like listening to Jim Cornette. He's a bit odd, but he's interesting to listen to. I don't always agree with him, but it's one of those guys that I can listen to. I like watching the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Being the Elite, but that episode turned me off from their show. I thought it was a bit too on the nose juvenile, And it made me think, yeah, Punk is right. Hopefully, we're not going to see CM Punk leaving AEW. I think that would be a major loss for the company. I know they say like he's older and he's more injury prone, but there's the thing about having somebody like CM Punk in the company that could eventually work into what William Regal is going to be doing for WWE right now, and well, as of January. And that's just basically having somebody that knows the business, that knows the psychology, both inside of the ring and outside, and can take and just work with young talent to see like just to grow young talent. MJF is the biggest talent that they've grown in AEW. Like a lot of the rest of them were already like kind of stars in New Japan and companies like that. But Kenny Omega was already part of the Bullet Club. The Young Bucks. But MJF was a guy that really came into his own here. Sammy Guevara is another one that came into his own, and it makes me think that the first like loss for AEW was Cody Rhodes, and Cody was one of the kind of executive vice presidents of the company, a big part of this, and I'm wondering now. Is Cody Rhodes part of this? Is Cody Rhodes like also a guy that felt like he had some more old school wisdom to give to people to bring people forward and to hopefully make stars for the future for the longevity of the company, and he left for WWE because he didn't feel appreciated. Like we don't know that, but still, it's a pattern, and it's not a good pattern. So I think something definitely needs to be done there. Anyway, putting on my hat to talk about that. What are your thoughts? Put on your hat and let me know in the comment section down below. I've never done one of these before, so this will be interesting to see if anybody watches it. But AW, smarten up. I really like your company, and you were what WCW was in their best days. Stop becoming what WCW is in their worst.